Thanks so much for joining us today. God wants to do so much for you and through you, and we'd love to hear about it. Take a moment to send your story to stories@parkerhill.org. And if you'd like to partner with us financially, you can do that by going to parkerhill.org/give and choose the giving option that works best for you. Well, thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoy today's message.
Well, welcome to the third part in our teaching series, Street Smarts. My name is Dan. I'm one of the pastors here. And as we thought about how to kick off this new year, we decided to do this teaching series because 2019 hasn't happened yet, at least not in its totality. As you see this year stretching out in front of us, you have a lot of decisions to make. The days between now and the end of the year haven't been lived yet, and so there's choices that you can make, and there's some decisions along the way. And so to make the best decisions, we decided we need something called Street Smarts. Now, Cambridge Dictionary defines street smarts as the ability to manage or succeed in difficult or dangerous situations. And so with life hurtling at us 1,000 miles per hour, we're gonna need some help managing and succeeding in difficult or dangerous situations. So we're gonna need some street smarts. So far in this series, we've unpacked two big ideas. The first is that your decisions determine your destination. And then last week we said it's better to ride together. And today, we're gonna talk about doing what needs to get done. Actually making progress on the things that matter to you in life. So let's start off with a question, and I want you to answer this honestly for yourself. By the end of 2019, I hope what? You fill in the blank. By the end of 2019, I hope to lose some weight. I hope to land my dream job, find a soulmate, learn a new skill, kick a bad habit, write a book, launch a blog, start a business. By the end of 2019, I hope you fill in the blank. And here's the thing, I think there's a lot of obstacles between us and what we put on the blank. There was in 2018, wasn't there? There seems to be this friction between our dream and what we're actually doing, between what we hope and what really happens, between our current situation and that future destination we want. Now, when a movie director wants to show a lot of change in a short period of time, they use what's called a montage. That's where the hero of the story goes from being out of shape, without fighting skills, and needing a makeover, and then they turn to this lean, mean, attractive fighting machine. You've seen it in movies like Rocky and Creed. See, in Rocky, he starts off slow, out of shape, doesn't have a hope in the world of winning. He's a nobody from Philly, stepping up to fight against the heavyweight champion of the world. But then he starts training and improving. And eventually he stands at the top of the Philadelphia Art Museum steps and he's ready to take on the challenge. Or you see this kind of transformation in a montage in The Princess Diaries where the actress Anne Hathaway goes from being an average frumpy girl into a stylish, trendy princess. Or you see this in a movie called Devil Wears Prada, where the actress Anne Hathaway goes from being an average frumpy girl into a stylish, trendy fashion expert. Or you see it in the montage in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, where these unprepared and outmatched students decide to start training in secret to become Dumbledore's army, and clumsy Neville Longbottom becomes, from beginning to end of this montage, a competent wizard ready to fight. And so in less than 3 minutes, our main characters move from being hopeless to heroes. That's the beauty of these training montages. They're inspiring. Look at what can happen if you try hard enough, if you really apply yourself. Look what you can become. Look how you can change. It gives the impression that for us to change, all we have to do is try really hard for a short period of time and voila, we will be transformed. The subtle message behind the montage is this, that high intensity equals change. And so we make resolutions, we set goals, we hit the gym, we basically quit eating, put a freeze on our spending, and we push hard and hard and hard, but we can't keep that intensity up for long. And so we give up. Maybe we'll try again next year. Maybe not. Don't you wish you could just have a 3-minute montage and come out the other side totally transformed? Like 3 minutes and then poof, you're slimmer, stronger, and richer. I mean, that would be awesome. And these scenes, they show that happening so quickly. But that's not how life works. This is how life works. Proverbs 24 says this, I went past the field of a sluggard, past the vineyard of someone who had no sense. Thorns had come up everywhere. The ground was covered with weeds, and the stone wall was in ruins. And so the writer of this proverb just walks past the scene in his everyday life, and he notices this rundown wreck of a house. Now, right away, you need to understand, slugger's not a word we use very often anymore. It just means someone who's habitually lazy, someone who constantly puts off what's most important for what they want in the moment. And this writer walking past this house sees some things. He notices that there's thorns and weeds and the walls are in ruins. And in an agricultural society, you need to understand that those were pretty significant problems. You see, with thorns and weeds, you couldn't grow your crops, which means you couldn't feed your family, you couldn't sell anything, you couldn't take care of anyone. And without a wall, you couldn't protect your land and your livestock from wild animals. And so, as the writer is walking past this very real scene, he's kind of drinking it in, taking it in. And then he comes home with this important principle, verse 32. I applied my heart to what I observed and learned a lesson from what I saw. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a thief, and scarcity like an armed man. So there he was, standing in front of the fruit of one man's life, and it's a wreck. And he asked himself, how did that happen? And his answer is a little sleep, a little slumber, day after day, small decisions made over time, they add up. And reflecting on this, the writer discovers that when it comes to accomplishing anything of significance in life, consistency beats intensity every time. It's the small decisions that you make over time that make the difference in your life. In a book by Darren Hardy called The Compound Effect, he compares two lives of two hypothetical guys to illustrate this point. One man is living his life and he's just gonna live it normally. He's just gonna keep going the way he is without any changes. Then there's another man, just like the first guy in every way, except this guy is gonna make one change. He's gonna cut 125 calories from his diet each day. That's not really much at all. It's like a third of a blueberry muffin, so 125 calories. After a year, there's not even a noticeable change. It doesn't seem like anything's going on. But after 31 months, 125 calories a day equals 117,500 calories, which transfers into 33 and a half pounds of a difference between the first guy and the second guy. And that's the power of our small decisions over time. Or consider what a guy by the name of David Bach calls the latte factor. So, if we were to say that the average latte costs $3.50, and maybe that sounds expensive to you, or maybe it sounds cheap to you, depending on where you get coffee. All right, but let's just say the average latte costs $3.50. Maybe for you, it's not latte, it's a couple cups of coffee or your favorite snack, whatever it is. But the latte factor asks the question, what if you invested that $3.50 instead? And if you were to invest that latte money in a mutual fund with a 6% return in 30 years, $3.50 would be $106,000. And so when you sip your latte tomorrow, just remember it's worth $106,000, okay? Just remember that. See, time compounds your consistency. That's why consistency beats intensity every time. It's eye-opening to consider the power of these small decisions that we make over time that grow and grow and grow into the life that we have today. And so, if it just takes a little effort each day on a regular basis to build the life that we want, it doesn't take an enormous amount of intensity pushing through to change everything all at once. If it only takes a little bit of effort every day to have the life that we want, then why don't we have the lives that we want? Why don't we do it? We want to pass our faith on to our kids. We want to lose weight so we can be healthy. We want to write the book, start the business, or meet some new people, but we never get around to it. Why do we put off the important? My heart, as a fellow procrastinator, dreamer, and sometimes doer, is to help all of us identify why we're putting it off and then show you what to do about it. I've often heard that it's the things that you don't do that you regret the most. And so my prayer is that God will use this message today to help you become the person that goes out and gets it done. So we're gonna look at 3 reasons why we don't get to investing in the important from a book, part of the Bible called Proverbs. And a proverb is a wise saying. It's a well-worded insight into how life works. And so this book of Proverbs is a collection of these pithy statements designed to help us understand how life works. So the first reason we procrastinate the important is found in Proverbs chapter 21, 25, and 26, where it says, "The craving of a sluggard will be the death of him, because his hands refuse to work. All day long he craves for more, but the righteous give without sparing." You see, the first reason that we procrastinate is because of laziness. And laziness means not just to do nothing, but it means to hesitate or to move slow or to be predominantly idle. And we all have some lazy in us, okay? I'm not interested in how lazy you might be. I'm interested in why we choose laziness over investing in the life that we want, because we're talking about growing this year. So why do we do it? Well, at the heart of laziness is a surprising motivation. Notice what the verse says. It says craving and craves. It means this guy has desires, has motivation, right? This is not lacking in any drive. He's motivated. He's just motivated by satisfaction, motivated to find comfort, motivated to feel good. You see, laziness is procrastination with the goal of satisfaction. Laziness is procrastination with the goal, procrastination with the goal of satisfaction. And because of work inevitably costs us something because it's like work and it makes us uncomfortable, we can avoid it. It reminds me of playing magnets when I was a kid. I don't know if you guys did this, but I did. I'd get magnets out of my desk and I would like see how close you had to get for them to snap together, right? And then you keep kind of pushing it out a little bit to see what it takes for them to snap together. And eventually I'd get bored of that game and I'd flip one of the magnets around, and once you reverse the polarity, you know what happens. You start to get them closer together, but one keeps scooting away, right? Now that magnet that I flipped around didn't lack the power to attach. It lacked the desire to. And the same thing happens in the life of someone who's practicing some laziness. See, it's not that you lack motivation, it just doesn't match up. You're not drawn to work, you're drawn to whatever gets you away from discomfort, whatever gives you comfort, whatever makes you feel good. And so you'll snap to that instead of to work. And before we start beating up on this person, let's just be honest. All of us have this attitude in us in some way, in some place, in some category. I mean, work doesn't always feel good. Making tough decisions can be hard. Having a tough conversation doesn't feel good. And so we dodge the pain, we put off the work, and we have a tendency to put off the work that's important because it's important. And because it's important, there's stakes. And because there's stakes, there's stress. It's easier to watch TV than talk to your daughter about her choice of boyfriends. And it's easier to get a snack than it is to go for a walk. And so we put off the pain and the stress of what feels like work, and we give in to what feels good right now. And ironically, this doesn't save us from the pressure and stress that we're running from. It just postpones it, right? You're supposed to write that research paper, and the deadline's coming, and it's the next day. And so what do? With great intensity and craziness, you work as hard as you can, and it's all stress and no sleep until you are finished. You just postponed the pain. You didn't escape it, and you might have even made it worse. And if you just spent some time each day kind of plugging away at that thing, it would have been easy. But instead, you made it hard. Because here's the truth, consistency beats intensity every time. And what happens when we take consistent steps? Well, here's the payoff, Proverbs 13:4. A sluggard's appetite is never filled, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied. The lazy desires things and desires things and desires things, wants satisfaction, and constantly attaches themselves to getting it, like a magnet going towards what fits. But instead of finding satisfaction after the chase, after the craving, after the wanting, after the acting in the way that gets them comfort, they're not comforted, not comfortable, don't feel good, not satisfied. But the diligent, the one who decides to go against that instinct for comfort, fully satisfied. You see, inevitably the happiest and most satisfied times in my life are when I stopped chasing comfort and started sacrificing for the good of others. For instance, in the summer of 2017, I had the privilege of traveling with a team from our church to our partner village in Haiti. And for me, this trip should have been a recipe for disaster. Okay, I really don't like to communicate across the communication barrier, and I hate hate sleeping in the heat, and I can get car sick, and I don't like exercise, and I like to stay in the center of my comfort zone. And so I went on this trip, and I spent 8+ days outside my comfort zone, in intense heat, in long van rides, unable to speak the language, and on the move from morning until night, nonstop. And it was awesome. You know why? I let go of my comfort. I had to, and a surprising thing happened. The more I poured out, the more full I was. I found myself with all the energy I could need, not exhausted, frustrated, car sick, or tired, instead full, satisfied, and I slept great at night. Why? Because avoiding discomfort and chasing comfort, it doesn't satisfy. A sluggard's appetite is never filled, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied. And so the first reason that we procrastinate is laziness. We're chasing after some satisfaction. But the second reason for procrastination is found in Proverbs 12:11, where it says this: those who work their land will have abundant food. That's the person that goes after what's important, feeding your family and yourself. But those who chase fantasies have no sense. The people that are chasing after the not important. In fact, they're chasing after distractions. So this is the person that should be focused on investing in the important. They take off in this other direction. But you need to understand this about this procrastinator, because when we think of procrastination, we think of doing nothing. But this form of procrastination is doing a lot of something. They are crazy busy. They're just chasing after fantasies. And of course, it doesn't look like a fantasy to them. To them, this fantasy looks like the golden opportunity. But it's a foolish pursuit because they do it at the expense of what's truly important. This isn't just a risk that you need to take. You're gonna have to take some of those in your life. This is not just taking a risk, it's neglecting a responsibility. And you see, the second reason why we put off the important is busyness. Surprising, huh? Busyness is procrastination for validation. See, busyness is a badge of honor in our culture, isn't it? I mean, you're not doing it right if you're not running nonstop, constantly out of breath, juggling 1,000 things, and staying busy. Being busy gets you street cred in our culture. If someone asked, and this is how I know, is if you ask someone, how's life? And they were like, hey, easy, slow, it's good, it's good. You would totally envy them, but you wouldn't emulate them. Why? Because your busyness is a badge. Your busyness says something to you and about you and to the people around you. Your busyness says, I'm doing something important. Your busyness says, I'm doing great things. Your busyness says, look, I'm accomplishing stuff. See, busyness is a badge of honor in our society. And I want to make a distinction here, because busyness is constant activity without examining it, whether it's wise or not. But hustle is consistent hard work. Busyness gives the illusion of hustle, but it's not. It's just constant activity without taking care of the main responsibilities of your life. It's doing without thinking. So why do we put off the important like this? Well, busyness is procrastination for validation. And we get caught up in busyness to impress others. And sometimes when I'm around other parents and they're all talking about what their kids are involved in, like ballet and gymnastics and sports like basketball and then football and then baseball and piano lessons, and there's even this thing called ninja classes, which is awesome. I wish I had that when we were a kid. And art classes and on and on and on and on, all the things that our kids can be involved in. To be honest with you, something inside of me listens to that list of things that all these other kids are involved in and goes, wow, like my kids aren't doing all that. I must be like a bad dad or something. I got to get my kids into some of this stuff, right? Because then I'll be a great parent. And we need to call that what it is, a quest for validation. And we can lead such hectic and hurried lives because we like to be needed or we like to look impressive. And so we have to be honest with ourselves and ask the question, what are we achieving with all of this busyness? And is it the most important kind of thing? Are we missing something? Are we accomplishing the urgent but ignoring the most important? See, your busyness with kids or with your career or with any other thing that you can be involved in is a quest or can be a quest for validation. And if it is, it doesn't work, but it will keep you from investing in the important. So maybe it's a little bit surprising, but that's the second reason why we put things off, busyness. Lastly, fearfulness. Proverbs 26:13 says this, the sluggard said, there's a lion outside, I'll be killed in the public square. Was there a lion outside? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe he's exaggerating a risk, but it's a real one. Maybe he's fabricating an outrageous excuse. That's kind of what it sounds like. But we don't know. Here's what we do know. He's afraid. He's afraid. I can't go out there. There's a lion. I can't risk it. What if I get hurt? And we do the same thing. Fearfulness is procrastination for protection. And we do quite a lot to insulate ourselves from risk and failure, don't we? We avoid people and circumstances that could be awkward. We avoid people and circumstances where we could fall short. We avoid people and circumstances that reveal our weaknesses. We can build our lives in reaction to what we're most afraid of. And what's sad about that is what's most important often scares us because it will cost us. It will challenge us. It will stretch us, which means you can't do it insulated. And when you procrastinate because you're afraid, you start saying things to yourself like, hey, if I don't try, I can't fail. And so we protect ourselves from failure by staying inside our comfort zones, which is tragic because you are here to have an impact. Because God placed you on this planet for some good works. But fear will keep you from taking action this year. Fear of failure. I want to point out something to you about fear and procrastination. Just listen to me closely here. Not doing anything is just as bad as failing. Not doing anything is just as bad as failing because not doing anything is failing. Proverbs 18:9 says this. One who is slack, that's idle or doesn't work hard. Okay, one who is slack in his work is brother to one who destroys. Notice the picture. The one who is idle goes hand in hand. It goes hand in hand with destruction. Interesting combination, right? To be idle is just as bad as being a wrecking ball. Why? Because doing nothing is destructive. It's like this. This is the Bugatti Veyron. It's a nice car. One of the world's fastest. It can get up to the stupid fast speed of 268 miles per hour. That's ridiculous power. If you're shopping, it's only 1.7 million for the base model. And some of you imagine life like standing beside this Bugatti and God hands you the keys and he says, here, this is for you. Take it for a spin. And you're like, well, I don't know if I want to drive it. I might get a scratch on it. I might wreck it. And God says, drive. And you say, yeah, it's awfully expensive. I don't know. He says, I already paid for it. Drive it. And you think, well, maybe, God, I'll just kind of put it in the garage and when I'm ready and everything, okay, then I'll get it out. Again, God, thanks for this really cool car. And you think of it like you're avoiding living because you're afraid of failing. But notice what this proverb says in 12:27. The lazy do not roast any game, but the diligent feed on the riches of the hunt. Another translation puts it this way. A lazy man does not roast his prey. He has it, but he doesn't cook it. He has everything he needs to thrive in life. He just doesn't leverage it. And so let's revisit that Bugatti. All right, you see, you have this picture all wrong. God did not hand you the keys to say, get in and drive. God is handing you the steering wheel and saying, please steer. The car is already moving. You're already breathing. God has given you a life and talents and opportunities. And today, and fear says, I don't want to drive because I might crash. But God's saying, if you don't drive, you will crash. Life's already happening. So not doing anything is just as bad as failing, so why not at least try? Procrastination says, well, if I don't try, I can't fail. I'll just keep dreaming about it, and that's my safe space to think. But reality says, no, you're not just sitting back, you're hurtling forward. Life is already happening, so you're failing if you're not trying. You see, we put off the important in the quest for satisfaction, and we come up empty. in a quest for validation, but we end up missing out because we're hustling on the wrong things. It's a quest for protection, but we end up failing just by default, by not acting. So how do we overcome procrastination and get to what's important this year? Well, the surprising solution is in Hebrews 12, 1 and 3, where it says this: "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart." So how do we stop putting off the important? Well, we look at Jesus. We look at Jesus who endured the hard work of the cross. And we notice what gave him strength and motivation and drive to do it. And it was joy. Joy. And what was Jesus' joy? God's glory and your salvation. See, Jesus' joy was rescuing you. And so when he faced the hardest work someone could ever face, when Jesus looked at the cross and the pain that he would have to endure, and even though it was so bad that he pleaded with the Father to say, "Is there any other way?" What does this passage tell us he did to get through? He thought of what he would gain by his actions. He thought of all the people he would save through his sacrifice. And that picture of you, of me, that picture outweighed the pain, gave him the motivation and drive to endure it. So how do we not lose heart and just go back to procrastinating? How do we beat that tendency? Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you do not grow weary and lose heart. How? We think of Jesus and we learn from him. And so if you want to break the power of procrastination in your life, think of the people who will be impacted by your work, because love is the strongest force in the world. Think of those you care about and their lives and how they will be impacted by your actions or inactions. And then do the work, one little step at a time, because consistency beats intensity every time. So at the beginning of this year, as you look out at your options and you look at an area that you'd like to change, instead of rushing out and trying to be awesome and pull off your own little 3-minute montage and change by the end of it, instead of doing that, let's try some street smarts together. Let's try. Because if consistency beats intensity every time, let's try this. Let's try putting our pennies in the best piggy bank. So I have up here a couple of jars, and what these jars represent is where you can put your time, attention, and effort. And every day you get up, God gives you a handful of pennies, of opportunities, of places to put your time, attention, and effort. It's only a handful, it's only that day. And so you have a choice to make where you're going to put them. And so an opportunity comes up and you can seize it. Another opportunity come up and you can dodge it. More opportunities can appear and you could say, I'm gonna seize it. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna step out and do something about it. Or Netflix, Facebook and Netflix. I looked up the stats. You guys are watching it quite a bit. Netflix. And every day, all you get is your handful, and you have choices to make. And throughout the course of this year, you are going to be putting your pennies somewhere, your decisions. And the funny thing about this is you can't even see them yet, right? I mean, you're looking at this and you're like, nothing's even happening. It looks so inconsequential, so insignificant. It seems like, why not just have another snack? I mean, look at that, it's tiny. Let's have another snack. Why not? It's tiny. Why not? It's tiny. You're not gonna be tiny, and so you're just putting those decisions in, one right after the other, day after day, deciding where they go. Let's fast forward a little bit throughout the year as you're making these decisions. And so, day after day after day after day, making choices. time, energy, effort, facing your fears, running from them. You're deciding whether or not you're gonna have a snack or go for a walk. You're deciding if you're gonna watch a show or if you're gonna work on that side project. You decide if you're gonna sleep in or get up and learn a new skill every day, all right? So let's just speed up how this year goes by, right? Day after day, just pouring it out. You forget some things. And so it just keeps building and it keeps building and it keeps building. And man, it was tiny. And in the day, it didn't seem that significant or important. Not at all. In fact, you had lots of throwaway minutes and hours and decisions that you made. But the crazy thing is that by the end of the year, after you made all of these choices, it starts to show a little bit, doesn't it? It starts to look like something. My question to you is, which one are you going to fill up this year? So that when you get to the end of the year, is it going to be, well, I watch a lot of Netflix, so I know everything about pop culture right now? Or is your big jar full of things going to be something else? Is it going to be that business you launched? Is it going to be that book you wrote? Is it going to be that relationship you invested in? Is it going to be being the kind of parent you hoped you would be? Which one? Which one? I said by the end of 2019, you hope to be somewhere. Well, the question is, where are you putting those pennies? Tiny, easy to overlook, but consistency beats intensity every time. So, put some in the jar of weight loss or Netflix, in writing or sleeping in. What's it going to be? Small steps, either way. Easy to do, either way. And as you fast forward through the year, you see what it looks like at the end of the year. What's your 2019 going to be? These small, consistent steps that you take, they really add up over time. And so as the band comes up for a final song, I want you to do something this week. I want you to fill in this sentence. By the end of 2019, write this down, take a picture of it so you can do it later. By the end of 2019, I hope, that's the thing that you wanted to change, because these are the people whose lives are going to be impacted. So today I will, and this is your penny, the small investment you're going to make over time. I hope, right? Where do you want the change? Because, and you could put the lives of the people whose futures will be impacted by your decisions. So today, I will, and this is the tiny, listen to me, tiny step that you're going to take to grow. So for example, if you really want to get some wisdom, make smarter decisions this year, you might say, like, I hope to grow in wisdom because the people around me face the consequences of my decisions, and that could be positive or negative. So today, I will take on the Proverbs reading challenge. And so Mark laid that out at the beginning of our series. It's an opportunity for you to, along with the rest of the church, open up to the chapter in Proverbs that matches the day of the week and read. Just a penny. There you go. One penny that builds up over time. Or maybe you want to be a great parent to your preschool or elementary or middle school age student, and you want to, as you pick them up, you've noticed they keep throwing these papers at you, right? You may think, what is that thing? These are God time cards. This is an awesome resource. And so I hope to be a more godly parent because, man, my kids are going to turn out a certain way based on how I pour into them. I have a great opportunity for influence here. So today I will, and you grab one of these things and you, penny, read it at the dinner table. Read it before they go to bed. Ask them a question from it. Drive home the spiritual messages while you are at home. Small steps, pennies. For me, just to be totally transparent with you, I wrote, by the end of 2019, I hope to have finished one side project that I keep putting off because I want my kids to have a dad that's a doer and not just a dreamer. And I want that to be the example. And so today I will spend 30 minutes on one of those projects. How do you fill in the sentence? By the end of 2019, I hope to, because, so today I will. And that's how you win over procrastination. Let's pray. God, 2019 stretching out in front of us. It's exciting what could happen this year. And by your grace, with your power, this can be a different year. God, draw our attention to the one thing, not the 100 things, the one thing that we can focus on right now and make investments in, so that by the end of the year, that area has changed in our lives. You get all the glory. I know you're going to give us all the help we need. Thank you. Amen.